Hey, better late than never. Hey everyone, welcome to my The Batman movie review. It's been a long time, so there's probably going to be spoilers in here. If you haven't seen the movie yet, please go see the movie. It's absolutely phenomenal, definitely worth your money. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, a lot of things I loved about this movie, and very, very few things I didn't like. Let's just jump right into it.
Let's play a game, just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
So as a comic book fan, there are many things about this movie that got me so hyped to watch. Very, very hot take here, and I'm probably going to get attacked for this. I did not like the Dark Knight trilogy. I thought they were great movies, but I didn't think they were great Batman movies. Probably in the minority when I say this. I wasn't a fan of the interpretation of Batman and that. It just didn't feel Batman. It just felt like a very realistic take on a guy who tries to be a vigilante dressed as a bat. And I do recognize that was the approach Christopher Nolan was trying to go for. That's why I say they're good movies. They're just not enjoyable Batman movies, in my opinion. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but that's just how I feel. That's why I was so excited for The Batman, because it felt so noir. It felt so Gotham and dirty and grimy and very adult, very dark, and that's what I love about DC. It's very dark, and a lot of the stories are far more mature than what we've seen from Marvel. And my God, did this movie deliver.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
So how is Robert Pattinson's take on the Caped Crusader? By far my favorite Batman on screen to date. Nothing beats Kevin Conroy, but this was definitely the best live-action interpretation of Batman by far. I thought what Robert Pattinson did here was phenomenal, outside of the Batsuit and inside of the Batsuit, which brings me to my favorite thing or aspect about this interpretation of the character, is that Batman is the guy with the mask off, and Bruce Wayne is the guy with the mask on, figuratively speaking. And Riddler even says so in the movie. He calls them out for this. He even says, this is your true self. Whoever you are outside of this is not your true self. You have the mask off right now. And I thought that was probably one of my favorite moments of the movie and of his character overall. Matt Reeves really understood the character, and I think Robert Pattinson did as well. That whole opening sequence of Bruce Wayne narrating how it is being Batman, where he can't be everywhere all the time. He has to be very strategic and very analytical as to where he goes to fight crime. And you see, like, they think I'm lurking in the shadows, but I am the shadows. And that shit scared the fuck out of me. I was terrified. So that just right off the bat was a perfect way to start off a Batman movie. That felt like a Batman comic. Something right out. Who said you could turn off? Yes, it is. Where was I? Oh, yes, Batman. Just everything about this character was phenomenal. I wish we had seen some more Bruce Wayne, but at the same time, we get a lot of Bruce Wayne in all the other Batman interpretations, so it was really nice to actually see a comic-accurate depiction of the character. Bruce Wayne and Batman work together in unison. They are two different people, and this movie really did convey that. One of my favorite Bruce Wayne moments of the movie is when he's at that funeral, and you see him looking at this kid who just lost his dad and his mom, and he just feels the pain in his eye. He understands how he feels, because as we all know, he's been there, and the pain is what rooted in the path, I guess is the best word to use, to becoming Batman. Fear and pain and vengeance and justice is all what makes Batman Batman. And that was that gaze. Not even a word was spoken, but that gaze was just everything to me. So all in all, I don't want to talk about, every single scene in this movie, but definitely by far my favorite interpretation of Batman. Very comic accurate. The bat suit was incredible. Definitely felt like a year 2 Batman, what he would wear. And let's talk about Catwoman now. Also, my favorite live-action depiction of Selina Kyle. My God, Zoe Kravitz did such a phenomenal job with this character. It truly felt like Selina Kyle, a jewel-hunting thief who loves cats, who loves, emotionally playing with Batman at times and trying to really show that she cares, but she doesn't know how to communicate that with Batman. She has a very different take on justice and her depiction of being a vigilante. She's not like Batman in some ways, and Batman is not ready to cross that line to kill somebody, and she is. So that whole back and forth with him trying to prevent Catwoman to killing Falcone was such a cool moment for those characters. I just remember sitting there and going, "Holy crap! This is a comic. I'm at a loss for words." It was just so amazing. I don't know how to describe the absolute joy and hype I got from that scene. I mean, even the way she walked, the way she talked, the way she presented herself on screen, her look inside the costume and out was a very, early Catwoman, a very early Selina Kyle. She doesn't have her suit yet. She doesn't have that Catwoman look yet, and that's fine because it's the beginning of a journey that's going to be very interesting to see develop, considering what comics they adapt and whatnot. But overall, Selina Kyle Catwoman was awesome.
I got you! I got you!
Now I want to talk about the villains. We had Penguin. We had my boy Edward Nygma. I have a lot to say about him. Holy crap. We had Falcone. We had a lot of mentions of the Maroni family and what happened before this movie. In some aspects, if you want to include the Waynes, because, Riddler did depict them as villains. We had a lot, or even the GCPD, if you want to count that as an antagonistic force in this movie, that's very well and true. My God, definitely the MVP in terms of villains was Riddler. Riddler is one of my favorite Batman rogues, and I think he's severely underrated and underused. And what Matt Reeves did here was awesome. I mean, look at what MCU did with Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. They took a really, cringy, cartoony looking old bald guy with green wings flapping around and turned him into a very compelling villain. He didn't look comic accurate, but in some ways it made it work. It did feel like a comic book, and I think they gave Riddler the same treatment here. He didn't have the top hat and the goofy cane and wore green and question marks all over him, but it's the subtle things that made Riddler feel Riddler, with the question mark inside the coffee, with the way he presented himself to Batman, to the Batman. Obviously, he had some really great riddles, like what's black and blue and dead all over? You. Or, the less you have of these, the more valuable one becomes. Friends, it was so fun. I even said this in my trailer reaction. It was so fun to figure these riddles out before Batman does. Or even, I'm like, man, what is the answer to that? Batman would say, I'm like, I should have known. That's so easy. And I think that was really fun because it made me feel engaged with the story. This movie never felt like it's, 3-hour-ish runtime. It felt... I wanted it to go on longer is what I'm trying to say. And I think that movie shouldn't be afraid to make longer movies. Endgame was phenomenal. This movie was phenomenal. And I think that if your movie needs to be longer to tell the story the way you want it to be told, do it. Look at the Snyder Cut. I had no problem sitting through that movie. And I just think that the way these villains worked were just phenomenal. Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, or Oz as he's called in this movie. He was such a great Penguin. It did not feel like the actor, I forgot the actor's name, beneath him. It didn't look like him. And to me, that was probably my favorite aspect of that character, because I don't like it when I see actors like Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, all these big actors casted into a movie, even Christian Bale, because all I see is Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, except with Harley Quinn. Like, she does a phenomenal job with Harley Quinzel, or Harleen Quinzel, I should say. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes when I see a big actor, it takes me out of it because they've been in so many different movies. It's just Leonardo DiCaprio. And when I see an actor have such, immense prosthetics on and feel like a different character, it really makes me feel immersed. Same with Gotham. There's a lot of different cities they took to make Gotham rather than just using Chicago in the Dark Knight trilogy, and it felt like a new city I'd never seen before. I loved the dirt, the grime, the darkness. It was just so amazing, and the feel and the vibe of Gotham was really captured here alongside all these characters, because the GCPD felt great. The guy who played Commissioner Gordon, or I think he's not Commissioner yet, Captain Gordon I believe is what he is here, so good. I love the awkward scene where he's like, we're gonna break you out of here, and that scene was so funny. Really clever on both their parts. That was such a great scene between capturing the relationship between Jim Gordon and Batman. So Jim Gordon was absolutely amazing, and yeah, just so many great characters in this movie. It felt like a live action comic book.
One of the guys I got into it with at the Iceberg Lounge. What are you saying, Kinsey Moon Knights for the Penguin? Alright, Moonlight's just a cop.
So the last main thing I want to talk about, I don't want this review to be really long, is the plot of this movie. So it's obviously Batman trying to figure out what the Riddler is planning. And something I think this movie did really well was not drag on the Riddler stuff too long, because there's a lot of times in like the Arkham games or when you're playing that, you're like, why does Riddler give away all his answers? Like Batman, like he's literally telling Batman how to catch him, and he gets caught, and you're like, oh wow, I would have never thought that would have happened. But in this movie, he's like, catch me, man. But the whole point of me doing all this was not to get away with it. It was to deliver a message, and that's what happens at the end of the movie. Riddler in some capacity does succeed. He blows up all the water that's, or blows up all the dams or barricades holding in the water in the harbor and has it flooding into Gotham. And all the people are running for safety, and they have a whole bunch of other Riddler gang members, start opening fire on civilians. And Riddler did get his message across. And yes, Batman did stop him and, save the day at the end. But that's what was so cool about this character, because it took away that, plot hole of like Batman is stupid. Batman has the answer right in front of him, and even when he's caught, you're just like, there's something else going on. Like this was too easy. He just sat inside a coffee shop and waited to be caught, and I thought that was really, really clever in terms of a writing standpoint.
You're part of this too. How am I part of this? You'll see.
But that's not all. We also had all the other side things going on that, also weaved into the Riddler with, Penguin, Falcone, which tied into Bruce's past. There was a lot of cool things that going on there. Catwoman's revealed to be, Falcone's daughter. And that was a really cool twist. I was not expecting that. I don't even remember. I'm not going to lie. I don't even remember if Catwoman is Falcone's daughter in the comic. She might be in a few of them, but I'm not too sure if that was a new thing the movie did or a comic book adaptation. So please let me know if I'm missing something in the comments below. I'm sure one of you guys have already seen like a new Rockstar's video or something. I really love the whole plot. It was just, it's really hard to say what I liked, because I liked everything. I can't think of one thing I didn't like about this movie other than it ended. Oh my god, the post-credit clip, I guess is what you could call it, with the whole question mark and the actual working URL. That was so amazing. You had the 3 riddles. At the time of me recording this, they already uploaded the Joker deleted scene. That whole ending with Joker telling Riddler, everybody loves a comeback. I legitimately thought, and my whole audience thought it was Two-Face at first, because you only see half of his face and it's all scarred up. So I thought it was Two-Face for a second, but then I heard the laugh and started hearing him talk more. I'm like, that's Joker. That has to be Joker. This was actually my audience's reaction.
Who are you? Well, that's the question.
Oh.
Isn't it?
Oh, fuck. Oh, it's Two-Face.
Riddle me this.
No.
I also really loved how, you know, in the very opening shot of Batman, you see him walking out of the shadows. He's walking out of the darkness. A lot of people don't trust Batman. He's not very well received to a lot of people. People are scared of him. People don't know if he's to be trusted. I mean, you see this in the GCPD scene when he's breaking out of the GCPD. And then at the end of the movie, he's literally holding up a red flare, guiding people outside of this really bad situation. And he's become the light or the hope of Gotham. And I thought that's what Batman is all about. I really love that metaphorical journey and character development for Batman, because I think Bruce Wayne didn't get any character development here, but Batman did, and that was really, really cool to see. But yeah, I think the plot wasn't just Riddler. There was also the Batman plot, because although we didn't get the true Batman origin, because we didn't see Martha or Thomas Wayne get shot, but we did see, you know, the Batman origin, because it's not just about him getting the suit and getting the training. It's that journey in the early years of being Batman that really makes the character so iconic and loved. I think there's a lot of cool moments that hopefully the movie adapts. I would love to see like a Killing Joke moment or a Death in the Family moment. I'd love to see a Robin be introduced maybe in the third movie, a Court of Owls depiction in the second movie. I mean, the setup's there. I really love the nod to Flashpoint as well, where you see you know, they're talking about Batman's past and his parents and how Martha was locked up in Arkham at one point. I'm like, that makes sense, because in the Flashpoint universe, Martha Wayne becomes Joker and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, and Bruce is the one who's killed. So for me, I was like, that is a really cool reference to Flashpoint, because that's my favorite comic of all time. So definitely, you know, a lot of cool Easter eggs and moments in there that maybe theater audiences won't understand, but definitely comic book readers would understand.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
So my final thoughts. There's one major thing I want to talk about before I end this review. The soundtrack. Holy shit. The best way I can describe listening to this soundtrack for the first time in this movie. It was just an Batman eargasm. That's the best way to describe how it felt. Oh my god, just the sound design, the set design, everything about this movie worked for me. I don't have any complaints. I really don't have anything I didn't like. It felt like a comic accurate depiction. The soundtrack was phenomenal. The directing, the cinematography, everything, the messages, the subliminal aspects of the movie maybe non-comic book readers wouldn't pick up on. It was just all so great. I'm glad we didn't just overshadow you know, Batman as a character or Bruce Wayne as a character through the other, you know, main villains like Joker or you know, Two-Face, the more popular villains we've seen many times before. We got another villain a chance to shine. Same with Penguin and Falcone, the lesser, you know, the villains most fans wouldn't want a Batman movie about. They want to see something more, you know, exciting like Joker or Poison Ivy or, you know, Bane, something a little bit more theatric. So I'm glad we had a time for these equally as amazing Batman rogues to shine. Alfred also, I forgot to mention, so good. Really, I was worried. That was the one casting I was like, I don't know how I feel about Andy Serkis as Alfred, but within the first scene, I was like, no, those worries are gone. Absolutely amazing. Definitely felt like a really interesting Alfred Bruce Wayne aspect. I mean, overall, I'd give this movie a 10 out of 10. Easy. I really love this movie. It was definitely my favorite Batman movie, and I'm glad it's getting well received. It's getting a lot of great praise, and I am really excited to see more from this trilogy. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this movie down in the comments below, what your favorite scene was, and what your theories are for what the villain's going to be for, you know, the second Batman movie. I'd love to see a Court of Owls set up. I'd love to see Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, a lot of cool villains we haven't had a more modern depiction of. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you in my next DC video.